Good morning, traders. This is a live trade recap. I took only one trade this morning between 9:30 and 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to show you that trade, why I took it, and what happened. And I'm also going to be referencing my plan throughout the video, so please let me know, leave a comment below. Let me know if that's helpful or if you'd rather just leave the plan out of it and show the trade and that's it. Okay, so as always, I start with my screener and I have my screener criteria and my plan right here. So this is what I'm looking for. Let me just highlight that for you. I'm looking for this type of stock on the screener, so you can read through that and then you can figure out how I'm picking these stocks. The float size, if I click on a stock, I can check the float size right here on the quotes page, and then I know if it's on the top gainers list, obviously by looking at the top gainers list. So that's that. And then let's take a look at the requirements for entries right here. So once I have the stocks on my watch list on my chart page, this is what I have to have happen to take an entry. So the basic version of it looks like this. So if the price is down here, when I start checking the stock basically below the previous high, then I watch it run up, break out through the previous high, then give me a pullback. And as soon as a 1 minute candle makes a new high after that pullback, as long as the pullback hasn't broken down below this previous low. So I call this point A, point B, and then point C. Point C could be anywhere, could be here, could be here. If it comes down and goes below this level down here, then I can't take a trade anymore. And it has to make new highs before I can look for an entry. So let's take a look at, so there was a bunch, this is really interesting actually. Today was a very interesting day in the market. There was a lot of stocks that met my screener criteria. So therefore you would think there would probably be a lot of trades. Well, no, there wasn't. And that's also kind of obvious if you've seen what's going on lately in the markets. Everything has been super sideways and choppy and unpredictable. So I wasn't really that shocked, that I had all of these stocks that met my screener criteria, and I only had one setup where I was able to actually take a trade. One of these, AMD, is up over 300% because of a move it made in the pre-market, and it's really not doing anything at all interesting this morning. So AEHL popped up right around this time, 9:37, and here was its previous high right here at this level. So obviously it broke out through the previous high, so that meets my criteria on my plan. I showed you that earlier, where now I have to look for an entry. I have to look for a 1 minute candle making a new high. There was actually an entry back here that I would have taken, but would have been stopped out, and then I would have had to take the next entry as long as point A hasn't been broken. So that means that it's still tradable. It didn't hit my profit target. I checked that. So it's still a tradable stock for me. And this is me just looking for the next entry, which will be the next time a 1 minute candle makes a new high. So I just marked out, just for reference, where the previous high is right there. I mean, I knew myself that it had already broken out above it, but I figured it'd be helpful to have that on the chart during the video. So right now I'm hovering over this candle. It has a high of 707. So if I see the price bubble hit 708 or higher, then I automatically trigger my hotkeys to get in. So there it is, 708, and you saw the little flash up there. So I triggered my hotkeys immediately. I'm not sure if this, was chart lag or what, but you saw where my price went. I have an offset of like 10 cents. So the fact that my order got put in at 690, that tells me that either the bid and the ask were just hopping around like crazy, and the ask must have been like 680 at that point, or there was some kind of lag issue, but the charts didn't seem to be laggy today, so I don't think that was it. So once in a while that happens, and I think, again, that's just because of the volatility of the stock. So I went to move it up to where my desired entry was, and even before I could do that, I got filled at 693. So yeah, it could have been a chart issue now that I'm looking back, because now look at this candle is not showing that 708, so I'm not sure exactly what happened there. But either way, once I'm in the trade, I have to let the trade play out. Either hit my stop loss. No, there it. Okay, so the candle formed a little bit late there, but you can see where the price did move up to that 708 level. So this is a legitimate trade and a legitimate entry, and then you can see what happened. It flushed down immediately. This is why we have stop losses, because can you imagine if you saw that candle forming, flushing down? I mean, I know back in the day when I used to enter and exit trades manually, I would see something like that, and you kind of become a deer in the headlights, and you're not sure what to do. And then before you know it, you're really deep in the red, and now you feel like it's too late to get out. So that's a really bad thing to do. That's why I always use stop losses. I only lost 14 cents on that trade, so not a big deal at all. So now here's the thing is, once that happens, then my plan and my strategy says that I must re-enter the stock. Let me show you that in the plan directly. Let's see, stop outs and re-entries. You could read this part. I'm not going to read it to you, but that's basically telling me how to get back into a stock if I've gotten stopped out. So this one stopped me out. It's only one losing trade, so I can take up to 3 losers before I have to stop trading. And so right now I'm marking out the bottom of the ABCD pattern, because if the price comes down below that level, then I can't take a trade anymore. I have to wait till it makes new highs. So this thing is in suspension, AEHL, and I'm just waiting for it to come out of suspension. It usually takes about 5 minutes. Sometimes they go into suspension for 10 minutes or longer, but generally it's about 5 minutes. So I know I had time, and I'm just checking all the other charts. Everything is trading below its previous high. Again, that's built into my plan that I have to wait until the price is moving above the previous high before I can look for a trade. And that is simply because that's not just some arbitrary rule. That's because if the price is trading below the previous high, then that means it's in a recent downtrend. And why would you want to trade against the trend when it's already tough enough to come up with a winning strategy and be profitable as a trader? So that's that rule. So now I'm just waiting for AEHL to come out of suspension. I took care of my SPXL swing trade during that time, moved the stop up to 96.70. So this trade, just while I have it up here on the screen, is pretty. I mean, this is another great example of why, just make a plan and stick to your plan. Don't worry about what the stock is doing. It came down really low here, close to the 50 MA a few days ago. I could have gotten scared, and kind of stopped out of the trade at that point, but I didn't. I just stuck to my plan, which says to follow the 50 MA up. And you can see now, I mean, we still have a bit of ways to go, but it's only going to take another day or two before I am above the bottom of that candle. So that would have been a huge mistake. And the main thing, really, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It could have just as easily on the next day come down and stop me out. But the thing is, that wasn't my plan. My plan since the beginning was to follow the 50 MA. So that's what I'm doing. And it just so happens that in this case, it's working out for the better anyway. So it's always a good thing when you follow your plan, no matter what the outcome is. All right, so, and this is also, this red line represents where I thought I would be stopped out based on what the stock, or the ETF in this case, was doing previously. And that kind of stuff I just do for fun, kind of to show myself, to remind myself how bad we are at predicting what's the way that stocks or ETFs will move. So even using candlestick reading and chart reading and technical analysis, it's extremely difficult to predict where a stock or an ETF will be days later or even minutes later sometimes. So instead of doing that, just come up with a plan that makes sense based on the previous movement of the stock, and then use your stop loss as your way of getting in and out of the stock. So that's where I'm at right now. 96.70. That's 35 cents more per share than I was making yesterday on this. So that'll continue to move up, it looks like, at least for the next few days. So I'll keep you posted on that, probably in separate videos. So AEHL, that was my one single trade, and now when it comes out of suspension, I'm looking for my next entry, and you can see what it does is it comes right down and breaks that ABCD pattern. So that is also in my plan. If the price comes down below that level, I can no longer look for a trade. I have to now wait until the stock makes a brand new high. So it has to break out above this previous high. We saw that yesterday with Clove, CLOV. Did kind of the same thing. It stopped me out of a trade, and then it failed the ABCD pattern, and then at about 10:15, which is after my trading time, at 10:15 it came up and broke through its previous high and did one little pullback, which would have been my signal for entry had it been before 10, and then it just shot up and went really high. So that's an example of that idea working. Doesn't always work, obviously. This did that as well, but that's why I have that criteria where it must come back up through its previous high before I can look for an entry. So because they usually don't, that's why. So when it does, it's usually a good sign that there's a lot of strength there. So that's it really for my trading. The rest of this is just me waiting to look for an entry before 10 a.m. When it gets really slow like this, I just set my alarm on my phone to remind me that, okay, 10 a.m. is it, because sometimes you lose track of time. But the other thing I want to mention that's very interesting and important to note is that look at the SPY and look at the NASDAQ. They're both whipping extremely violently. So this is divergence. When people say divergence, they're meaning that the difference between the highs and the lows are getting wider as the day moves on. And that's exactly what's happening here. I was actually kind of outlining it in the video while it was recording. But this is what divergence looks like, is this kind of widening whip pattern. And what that indicates is instability in the market. And when you have instability in the market, that means your patterns are going to fail. Patterns aren't going to work out as often. They're not going to be as reliable. And that's exactly what I'm seeing. And that's why I am always taking my stop. Well, I mean, I always take stops anyway. That's why I use stop losses. And that's why I'm using this period of instability and uncertainty to test a new strategy, because I'm only risking one share per trade. So I really am not going to lose a lot of money no matter what is going on right now. And if I can make it through this crazy, like unstable, unpredictable time, break even, or even if it's a little bit profitable or a little bit of a loss, then that is a good sign that this strategy will work really well when the market is strong and is predictable again, like after some type of a major pullback. So that's what we're doing, and we're going to keep doing it. And actually didn't get to enter this trade yet into my spreadsheet. I just realized that. But I could tell you right now that I am slightly below break even at this point after today's loser and yesterday's loser. But again, I'm not surprised by that considering what the market is doing. So everything is kind of going as planned as far as the testing is concerned. And I'll make sure and show you the spreadsheet tomorrow, because I think I forgot to show you yesterday as well. So anyway, just trying to focus on showing you the plan and the strategy and all that kind of stuff in these past two videos. So I'll show you the order just so you know. So there's the trade from today. Let me pull this over. Whoops, went way too far. Almost did it again. All right, here we go. So there's the order placed. That's not it. That was my SPXL order. So today is June 9th. That's the only trade that I've taken was with AEHL. There's the trade from yesterday with CLOV. So, all right, so now we have everything on the up and up. So, all right, just let me know if you have any questions about this trade or any others. As always, go into every single trade with a plan and follow your plan no matter what. Always take your stop losses, honor your profit targets, and in the long run, you should be green. I always say that because there was a long period of my trading where I didn't do that, and no matter what I did, I always ended up red in the long run. So, that's why I say that, and hopefully that's helping you guys. Let me know in the comment section below, and take care.